Hello everybody, welcome back to Kanga TV, home of North Melbourne fans, and there are a few better ways to celebrate the season that was at the annual Syd Barker Medal Award, and last night lived up to expectations and some. For the first time in over a decade, we had dual medal winners, ruckman Tristian Xerri taking out his first Syd Barker medal, while young gun Harry Sheezel winning his second award in just 3 seasons. It was an absolutely amazing evening, and it was such a great way to reflect on the highs and the lows, I suppose, of season 2025. It's great to see how far we had come this year, progress on and off the field, but also still be able to identify the holes in our game and where we want to go as a football club. It was such a special evening, and it was all about our 2 superstars, and Tristian Xerri was such a deserving winner. They both were, but for X, I think last year was a real breakout season for him, and to go one better again this year, he has become one of, if not the most important player in this side. And when he wasn't there later on in the season, and when he was down on form for a few weeks there early on in the season, you could see what a hole it left in our side. And I'm so glad that he was recognised with a Syd Barker Medal for all of his incredible work and efforts this year. Harry Sheezel, I mean, we all know what a superstar he is, 20 years of age, and he just keeps racking in the accolades left, right and centre. We know he's going to be such a special player and leader for us in the future, and this football club is so much better with him around. LDU rounding out the top 3. It was the same top 3 that we had in 2024, and these guys are just so important to us, and I don't think that any supporter can sit here and say otherwise. Luke Parker coming in 4th, and captain Jy Simpkin to round out the top 5. There were a few things throughout the course of the night that just made me sit and think about how lucky I am to be a North Melbourne person and just how much I love this football club. The first was Tristian Xerri in his acceptance speech spoke about Todd Goldstein and how he does still speak to Goldie every so often. He reached out ahead of us playing Carlton for the second time in round 15. Essendon had played Carlton a few weeks prior, and he reached out and just sort of asked if he had any tips, and Goldie got back to him just about straight away with some advice for his former apprentice. And I just thought that was such a nice little story and a nice little anecdote to speak about. You know, there are so many people who come through this football club, and no matter how long or short the stay is, I think the impact that you can have on the club and the club can have on you is just so incredible, and it was so evident in that story last night. So too with Patch Adams, who was awarded a life membership of the football club, and he will be departing at the end of this season. He was obviously a player and then a coach for quite some time. He took over as caretaker coach a couple of times as well, and did a fantastic job for us. And his speech was quite a lengthy one upon accepting his life membership, and it was almost like a second retirement speech, but it was really heartwarming and it was really special. And it's nice to know that despite the fact that the relationship between us and Patch has changed over the years, particularly in the last couple of seasons, that he will still leave with such fond memories of this football club. And I think the feeling is definitely mutual from the fans and from the players and from the club as a whole. So a couple of really, really nice moments for the 2 of them there. Looking at the medal count, and I think one thing that really pleased me as opposed to last season was the gap between the top 3 and the rest. And we've been looking for progress and signs of progression throughout this season, and this to me at the medal count last night was definitely a sign of progress. Our top 3 in 2024, it was the same top 3 as we had this season, but there was 80 odd votes between 3rd place and 4th place in 2024. Fast forward 12 months and there was only 20 votes that separated 3rd and 4th, and I think knowing that the gap is closing and that we are starting to share the load amongst the side more evenly is a really, really pleasing sign. I was really, really happy to see Luke Parker's season be recognised with a 4th place position. We knew when he came across the North at the end of last year what an asset he would be, both as a player and as a leader, and it was reflected in the count last night. I thought Jy Simpkin finishing 5th was quite interesting, and Caleb Daniel in 6th. I don't know if either of them necessarily had better seasons than those who followed, like a McKercher, like a Curtis, like a Xerri. I was quite surprised surprised to see Cam Zerha finish in 9th. I definitely thought that he should have been higher up in the count, but I guess that's the coaches being happy with the roles that these guys are being played. And while I might not, or you might not necessarily agree, it would be nice to know, I guess, what the coaches see in these players to have them positioned in a 5th or a 6th spot. But I just hope that these players do continue to improve, and as a whole, all of our players, they can still start to contribute so evenly the way they have this season. The top 10, not much separated them at all. And I think that's a really, really good sign moving forward. We want to be able to share the load, share the love, and know that there are more guys stepping up to the plate. One other thing I did want to touch on as well before I wrap this one up, the VFL John Law Medal was also awarded last night. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first time that we actually got to see the top 5 being named and recognised. Usually it's just the winner that's announced, and then we've got the leaderboard shown at the end. And Will Phillips came 4th in the John Law Medal on the back of just 12 games in the VFL this year. So I thought that was quite remarkable. I think that speaks volumes about him and his work rate, and how he may still be able to contribute. I know the VFL and the AFL is quite a different game, but potentially there's a world where we can keep him at North next year and beyond. Again, it is just a bit of a wait and see there. Only a couple of noticeable absentees last night. Josh Goda, of course, is overseas at the moment in Dubai, doing everything he can to get his body right and raring to go for 2026. Eddie Ford, the other one, did not make an appearance. He's the only delisted player who didn't make an appearance last night. The other 3 guys came and celebrated with the rest of the group, which I thought was really, really nice. And I always love how accessible the players are and the coaching staff are to fans, not just throughout the year, but last night as well. The Syd Barker Medal is an excellent event, and I always love going and just celebrating the year that was. How did you guys see the medal count last night? Were you happy with the winners? Leave all of your thoughts in the comments down below. We can obviously continue the conversation as always on socials. Kanga TV show across Instagram, Facebook, X, and on email. I'll be back very, very soon, no doubt, with some more trade news and updates. As you guys know, news is flying around left, right, and centre, and we'll be back for an AFLW recap for the first half of the season as well next week. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that, and I hope to see you all there. Go Roos.